some of some of that stuff's really worth it. I think I went to community college. I think that's probably the best way for people to go because it's really cheap.
Foundation,
Yeah.
something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, my teacher, I still talk to my teacher. She comes every now and then to St. Louis.
That's pretty cool.
She went to the CIA and was, a talented chef. Yeah, so I did that, worked a bunch of places. Then I went to LA and I was sous chef at a place called the Chateau Marmont out there, a big hotel. And
After coming from Paris?
Huh?
After coming from Paris?
Yeah, it was kind of like I had already been to Paris and I had been to New Jersey.
So you was
I'm
already,
condensing a lot of years.
Yeah, you're like, you got the
had a
ski
good
resort skill
foundation.
set, some culinary foundation. So you're above average coming in already, and then you got the.
And when I was in France, I started to realize, I had just been like cooking and like fundamentals and stuff, and it wasn't where I was at in Paris. It was like all the restaurants surrounding where I was at. Like there was some, because when I was in Paris, I was like doing like really basic stuff. Like they didn't trust me with a lot. But I got to go eat around that area, and I like started to see some chefs that were doing some like avant-garde stuff, and I was like, and this is back in like avant-garde, yeah, so like maybe 2001, something like that. And like, so that was like people making like savory ice creams on like salads and stuff. Like I had these like truffle glazed Loire Valley vegetables with fromage blanc ice cream on it, and I was like, it wasn't sweet, right? It was like, oh wow, okay. And then like they were using savory items in desserts. So I had this like, do you know what a mille-feuille is? It's like a Napoleon kind of, like layered pastry and pastry cream. Usually pastry cream, layer of this, maybe a layer of fruit, like. But this was candied tomatoes. And then it had like a fromage blanc pastry cream, and then it had like a rosemary or a basil simple syrup. So it was almost like caprese salad, but like dessert.
Yeah,
and it like blew my mind, right? Because like back then, nobody was playing with that stuff. That was like very rare. And then I was like, oh, okay, so once I learned like the foundations, I can break all the rules. Right? Like, which honestly is kind of what expat is, right? Like okay, like smoke the ribs, like that's a foundational element. But the seasoning on it doesn't have to entirely be foundational, right?
Exactly.
Like you can play with those flavors, right? And so that's kind of like, that stems from all of that, and that's when I fell in love with cooking. That's when I was like, okay, like I can have fun, I can be artistic.
The art, brought the art back out
with this,
like you said.
And fast forward some years, worked in a couple other restaurants along the way, and decided I wanted to do my own thing. And I had heard a lot about St. Louis. I was like, there's this guy, Larry. Do you remember Larry Forgione? He had a restaurant here called An American Place downtown. And he's kind of legendary in American cooking. Like they often call him like the godfather of American cooking. But he opened a restaurant in St. Louis. And I was like, well, that's cool. Like, what's this place? And I started looking at like real estate here. And it was like way cheaper than anywhere else, especially like DC or New York where my family was. So I decided to give it a shot in St. Louis. My brother invested in me. My brother's a lot smarter than me, and I was in finance. So he was my first investor. We opened up Niche in 2005. It was only 1,500 square feet, so it was like tiny. And didn't really know what to expect out of what was going to happen. And it was a rough road, honestly. There was a lot of a lot of people only saw the ups, but I mean, we almost went out of business multiple times. We didn't charge a lot for the food back then. We were like scraping by, and I had a kid during that time. I think my drive there was always, my kids, right? It was like,
Of course, right?
it was like I gotta make this work, and that really pushed me, and that pushed me through all the hurdles, and we hit 2008. I don't know if you remember, 2008 to 2010 was the financial crisis. Some of the hardest times in my life.
Yeah.
Right then.
That was y'all quarantine back then.
Huh?
That was basically y'all like.
Yeah, but without any help. No, there was no government help back then.
No.
Like, we got a lot of help during COVID, and guests were helping, and we had nothing back then, and guests weren't helping because guests were losing money too. So people weren't eating. It was just hard.
Yeah, I'm in 2008, 2010. I was 18, so we knew it was a recession. Back then, the only thing we knew about recession back then is that the rapper Young Jeezy, you probably heard of Young Jeezy.
Yep.
I don't know. He had this album called The Recession. He would rap about the Obama and this and that, but we didn't really feel it because we were just coming out of our parents' house. And we had a job. We still were getting paid, but it didn't. It was like we didn't know.
What are you talking about?
We didn't understand what was so bad about what was going on. We really didn't feel it because we're in St. Louis and we're 18 years old, and it's like, but it was like bad for the businesses for real though.
So bad.
So what happened? Like, did everybody just go broke and just couldn't spend money or something?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if everybody went broke, but the stock market crashed, right? So think about all the really wealthy customers that we had, all just lost a shit ton of money. Some of them still had, some of them still had plenty of money, but everybody was scared. People didn't want to spend a lot of money. People were underwater in their houses. Everybody's housing values plummeted.
Now I think I understand.
Yeah.
If you were so it was a tax bracket thing. If you were up here and you had money, you felt the recession. But if you were still under
even
middle
then,
class,
I think it was hard for people to get jobs because jobs were getting cut everywhere. Wealthy people even were losing their jobs. It was just it hit everybody. Except 18-year-olds who you just got a little bit of money and you're like,
18,
oh my God,
I just graduated high school.
I'm making $10 an hour. What are you talking about?
I started LaCole in 2008. I came out of high school in 2008 and I graduated LaCole 2010. So that's exactly in the middle of recession.
Yeah.
So they were giving out $40,000 loans to 18-year-olds.
Yeah, which was the problem, right? That's why.
My mom didn't have the credit and stuff. My dad didn't have the credit, and I graduated high school, and I did the bare minimum. I was like you. I did not like math, science, technology, but when it came to art, gym, and like you, I feel like I had the same problem, honestly, but just focusing, if I wasn't interested or if I don't do it repeatedly, I didn't play no sports. I was on the drum line. I had to do it with my hand. Couldn't read music though, but if I played a couple times, I got it. You know what I'm saying? So I went back to when you was talking about how you felt about, I've been kicked out of multiple schools. I've been to 3 different high schools, barely graduated high school just to make mom and dad happy. You know what I'm saying? Did that. They made it seem that you graduated high school, you're good, you know what I'm saying? That's what I did. But of course, your friends go to college, and I wasn't dumb, you know what I'm saying? I gotta do something. I can't just not just graduate and go do nothing. So I chose culinary, you know what I'm saying? Because I was working in a restaurant. My manager said, you seem like this, you should go check out LaCole, and I went and checked it out. They talked me right in it, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, the admissions guy, he said, so what do you see yourself driving? 5 years from now.
Oh my God.
I swear to God. And every time I tell
That's
that story, I
terrifying.
get the same reaction from everybody. And
Yeah.
I'm 18 years old. My parents don't have good credit. My mom, my dad don't. They don't know nothing about financial education or, you know what I'm saying? So, and I'm like, I'm going to culinary school. They just geek that I'm going to do something versus nothing, you know what I'm saying? And I'm happy to sign a $60,000 loan, two $30,000 loans in my name, 18 years old, in 2008. We graduated in August. I was off 30 days after graduating high school, and I went right to culinary school, no break. 30 days after graduation, right into school. So, like, recession win for us.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, that's part of the reason the recession happened, right? That people were writing loans for anything. Like, oh, you don't have a job, say you work at 7-Eleven, you could probably get like a $500,000 loan on a house.
I swear.
You know, with like no money down. And then all of a sudden people are like, wait, I can't actually afford this.
Okay. I was turning 18, so I'm signing credit cards now because I can. Nobody can tell me no or whatever. And I'm being a little responsible, but I'm still buying for dumb stuff, food every day, school. And so I don't regret taking out the loan because I am in the position I am in today. I'm grateful, you know what I'm saying? I still have that situation over there. The school is closed now. I call it La Close instead of La Cole. That whole valorized situation was weird for us.
Did you work with Christy Augustine? She was the pastry teacher over there.
I had Chef Judy. He was wife and husband.
Huh?
Older.
guy.
Yeah. Man, he passed away and the wife passed away. They were older. Yeah, he was my international chef. Chef Judy was a great guy. Only one that let me modify the recipe. Everybody else was like, no, you need to put it. I'm like, I like blue cheese. I don't like olives. He's like, well, don't put it in it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, so, but yeah, that's crazy about the recession and that time for, you say you were struggling, trying to, multiple times it was from the clothes, like, but here I am working at Moonrise Eclipse 2009, and I'm just thinking Nisha's like killing it.
Yeah, I mean, we 2008 we were on the cover of Food and Wine magazine, and
so it was it was crazy. Huh?
Press wise, we always stayed on top.
There we go.
And guests in the door, it's not always what it seems on the outside, right? You gotta work your ass off to get the people in the door.
Like what you're doing here every time you say the marketing, and the marketing is big, ain't it?
And now it is, back then, you didn't have to market really. You just there wasn't a whole lot of stuff you could do back then, except for win awards or whatever. So that was kind of always our goal. It's like win awards.
Word of mouth. Hear about them.
Yeah. So that James Beard Award, things like that. We were laser focused on we gotta win this. We gotta win this.
Right, being the best of the best. The competition was it was a lot more like competitive back then. I feel like for the chefs, like y'all were trying to actually be the French Laundry, Olivia. They were trying to go out there. You know what I'm saying? But, what would you do different back then? What would you do? What was the biggest mistake that you wish you would have just did different?
I wished I had understood finance a little better when I first started. Paid more attention in the beginning to the P&Ls and stuff. But I say all that, and I feel like everything happens for a reason. If you had done it differently, it might not have turned out the same.
Exactly.
Right?
That's how I feel. It's
I try not to go back and be like, what happened. I think the thing that I'm most proud of, and that I carry to this day is I am never too good to hustle, right? Whether it's marketing, you see someone, I don't want to do that, if you ever want to own your own shit, you gotta fucking do everything, whatever it takes, you want me to do something dumb on the internet, as long as it's not offensive or You know,
Yeah.
something like I'm gonna do that. And you know, like if I need to, you know, be somewhere to work, I'm gonna be there. If I need to, you know, go on the radio, I'm gonna be there. Like I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna try to talk to as many guests as I can. Like,
Exactly.
you know, hoping that, you know, they enjoy it. You know, and I'm gonna keep pushing and keep trying. You know, like if something's not right on a dish, like I'm gonna address it. We're gonna work on that. We're gonna make that right.
Keep
Like
going.
every single day, it's you know, I think a lot of times people say like I open a restaurant and like okay, now I'm open. Like it either works or it doesn't. Like that's the starting line.
Yes, sir.
And I told a couple chefs this the other day. You know, it's really hard opening a restaurant. It takes a lot like before the doors open, and it's stressful and it's tiring. And then the first month is exhausting and just brutal. But really, that's like the beginning. Like that was the pre-race warm-up.
Right.
You know, now you gotta like grind every day. And you
Marathon.
gotta push to make things happen. And you gotta push to get people in the door every day. You gotta push to make sure your food's, you know, at the level it needs to be, and you gotta push to create new things, to, you know, to keep people coming back. Like it is a daily like wake up, and I do this every single day. I wake up and I say like, what do we need to do better today? You know, what do we need to push on today? And there are days that
Every day.
there are days it's exhausting. And
that leads me to my next question. What are some of like the rituals that you do every day to help you like day in and day out? Like is it like a song or I know you got the kids, I know you got the restaurant. That's obvious. You're like, hey, I got to make these restaurants run. I know I got to put food in my mouth. I mean, my kids' mouth and feed the family, provider. But what are like other small things that like?
I wake up and I drink coffee immediately.
Coffee.
I wake up immediately and I drink coffee.
Coffee pot at home? Is it on the timer or is it like what is it?
I have a machine. I just press a button.
Okay, so you
coffee.
get out of bed. Do you hit the button before you like wash up, or do you like?
Oh
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
I'm like
on the way out the door, hot coffee, bam.
not even out the door. I'll coffee and I'll get back in bed.
And like would watch the news.
Yeah,
or...
while I turn the news on, then I look at my emails.
Okay.
In bed.
Okay.
Start scrolling my emails, and at 8 a.m. every single day, and I have it set so that it gives me like an hour or so every morning. I get my shift report, and that shows me what happened at all the restaurants the night before.
Okay.
Right? Every manager puts in their report from the night. You know, who came into the restaurants. You know, what were the sales. What were some of the bad things that happened that night, you know, like mistakes made, and I go through all of those. Then I address issues that need to be addressed, or I put them on my list for the day of things. I look at my calendar for the day. Usually actually right before I go to sleep, I look at my calendar and make alarms for myself for the next day to keep myself on track, because I'm
just like 8 to 10
I'm a
or
scatterbrain.
pretty much before you leave out the house you're already like knowing what's
my
going
alarms
on.
are like all day, so like I'll have all day alarms.
The phone.
Yeah.
All right.
So it'll be like, you know, you have a meeting in an hour or something like that. And
so every time you get a new meeting, you gotta put it in your calendar. So you organize and you being your own secretary.
yeah, I have an assistant too. She, you know, Claire. Have you met Claire Voss? She does some other things in the company too, but so like she'll make a lot of meetings for me and just put them in my calendar.
It comes straight to your phone?
Yeah, it's all she's like linked in on my calendar.
All right, there we go. 'Cause I'm about to say organization be like a big thing, man. It's like so, yeah.
And so that's why the night before I look at my calendar, because I don't always know what's going to be on there, and then make my list for the next day.
So it's like a typical bedtime.
Just depends on the day. I mean, there's days that I'm in bed by you know, 10:30, and then there's days I'm in bed at 2 a.m. You know, just like if I have to work a service or something like that at a restaurant.
It's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up. You know, I mean, I feel like we got a lot of great information. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I feel like I know you a lot more. I definitely got some things that I can draw from, and I feel like I relate to your approach to cooking so much. Like when you were telling me about the school, the kicked out of school and all that stuff, I was like, man, like this guy sounds just like me, like just like me, and like so, like I'm really excited, like with the information. I'm glad that you took the time to like do this. Appreciate you. I got some things for you that I'm like as appreciation. It's actually a Mr. Chef mug, and I got you.
Nice.
Mr. Chef is my brand. I haven't got a chance to talk about it.
That's
You
cool.
know what I'm saying? Yeah. Cooked in during quarantine. Cooked in a lot of clubs, and they call me Mr. Chef when I walk through on the microphone because they know I cook in the club. So I created the brand. That's my brand.
That's
like
awesome.
I said, so I got you a mug and I got you a T-shirt. I left it in the car. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go grab that, and then we can wrap it up. And I appreciate you, bro.
Cool. Yeah.
Thanks,
No,
Chef.
thanks
Man,
for
I
sitting
appreciate
down.
that, man. For real, like.